Welcome back to the Garth Riley Show. Amy England is my guest. We have been in deep conversation because of not only as her as a person on the ResViewMe portion, but also there is a passionate politician here, a community leader, I would say, that may become a politician or not. But I guess we're always politicking.
Yeah, I think there's politics in all levels.
Yeah.
And life is about politics. It's about how you interact with the people that are around you, and how tactful you are, and the tactics that you use to get things done.
You know, I think that's it's strategies, it's tactics. I mean, so I remember a motivational speaker I used to listen to. He was always often said how it was communicated. And Will Rogers, I used to love listening or reading about him too. But Zig Ziglar said, he said, you know, you can say to a woman that she's a vision, and he said, you get a great result. He said, if you tell her that she's a sight, you may have a problem. And he said, so it's all about how you say what you want to say, because it's about what you can take in. Let me ask you this question from a business bakery point of view. How to grow an economy? How do we grow in an economy that is shifted here? You know, we've seen it in Durham region. There's no denying it. We also know that OPG, in Pickering, you know, the nuke plant's going to be closed. The next thing is that we'll have a loss of jobs. GM has certainly morphed into a fraction of what it used to be.
Well, and that's part of the reason why taxes are so high, is because the huge base of where we would have gotten revenue to take the tax burden off the residents, we're losing. And we're losing it at an exponential rate, and we're not replacing it at the same level. I think that it's really important when we look at a strategy that we need to be including Durham College and UIT into it. I think there are a lot of new innovative mid-size range businesses that can grow within the region, that can grow within Oshawa, that we should be recruiting here.
But what's it take? Okay, what's it take in your opinion to do that? And we'll also cross over to the retail side of the big box stores. But let's go back right now. I constantly hear this idea about recruiting businesses in. You know, I don't know what that means. I don't get it, because if our job is recruiting, then we're failing.
Well, and I think that it goes back to market, and it goes back to creating the market in Oshawa and the market in the region, that companies have no choice. They want to move here.
What would you do?
And I think it's a whole holistic look at everything that we're doing when it comes to environmental and sustainable initiatives, when it comes to the local food policy, when you come to how you're going to lobby the provincial government to ensure that small and mid-range businesses can survive and have the support needed to survive within our region and within Oshawa. I think that the region has a bigger role to play in terms of the province, and making sure that the legislation's in place to support these small and mid-sized businesses.
So without getting you into policy, but I mean, obviously,
I'm a huge policy buff. And people get bogged down in it, but I think that it's so important to understand.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So, okay, very quickly, because you know the attention span of most of us is like that of a gnat. That do you believe that municipal government is doing enough of an aggressive role in Oshawa, or probably elsewhere, to help stimulate new and medium-sized business as relates? How about regionally? Do you feel that they're doing enough?
I think that the region is doing a better role than the city of Oshawa is, but I also think that the interconnected politics between Oshawa and the region is part of the reason why Oshawa cannot do some of the things that they want to do. When you look at the region and you start looking at the growth plan and you start looking at planning initiatives, where are we going to sit this company? Where are we going to put this? Well, if people don't like Oshawa, and Oshawa has ruffled a lot of feathers at the region and has pissed off a lot of people, not only at the region, at the provincial level, at the federal level, there's all sorts of levels of government where our council members have pissed people off and they don't want to work with them. When it comes to a choice, are you going to put this new business and this new office space in Oshawa, or are you going to put it in Pickering? Or Whitby? You're going to pick somewhere else. And I think that part of the way we go about changing how we look at businesses is how our government officials relate to each other level of government, because it's all connected. The way the federal government brings in infrastructure money, the way the provincial government relieves tax burden, there's all these different things that need to be looked at. And if you've pissed off those people, they're not listening to anything that you have to say.
So are you saying that right now, in the current government of the municipal government that's sitting in Oshawa, in your opinion and your observation, that they have done an excellent job at dropping the ball and actually puncturing the ball?
Well, I mean, take the harbor, for instance. They were going to sue the federal government, and now they come out and they say that this is an amazing deal for Oshawa, this is an amazing deal for everyone. But let's talk about the fact that we're only getting $5 million to clean up an environmental site that has chemicals leaching into Lake Ontario. $5 million to cap that site is not an acceptable way to deal with that situation. That needs to be fully cleaned out, and it's going to cost more than $5 million. But everyone is so caught up in the fact that now we have this agreement in place and we're finally getting along. I would beg to ask the question, are you getting along because it's an election year? And that's what I've seen. Everything that's sort of happening and all of these decisions that are being made in an election year. And when you look at in the past history of council and the things that they have done, their past history does not represent what they're doing right now. And I'm just afraid that the only thing that people are going to remember is the last thing that they did, instead of remembering the last 4 years or the last 8 years or 24 years or however long they've been on council, and some of the areas where they've messed it up for the city.
So in this case here, you thought there was more money available from the federal government for the cleanup, but because
well, I think that a deal was made, and I think that Oshawa had their hands tied because they were in a lawsuit with the federal. If someone sues me, I'm not going to be very inclined to talk to them. Legally, I'm going to say I can't talk to you because you're suing me. So I think that when they launched the lawsuit, it put them at odds. And I think that we have an agreement in place right now, and it was done with the current council. But the next council that comes in needs to ensure that we get more funding for such things as environmental cleanup, because we cannot have a thriving harbor if it's a dump and if there's toxic waste that's being leached into our water. That is unacceptable. How do you have a thriving harbor community when you have something that's been capped instead of cleaned out? It just doesn't make any sense to me. When you look at water, you should look at water as a human right. I mean, everyone deserves the right to have clean drinking water, and it's such a vital resource.
the Oshawa Harbor issue has continually gone on, and you're right. If the federal government has a hand in it, why would we smack them? But I think it goes back to what I used to see a lot in politics, is people making I call it newspaper and television clip decisions that really get good newspaper and get good television clips, and but really are short on delivery.
Well, and I would say that you need to build up relationships. I think municipal government, there is no way that we should be talking about partisan politics in municipal government. And when you have a mayor or you have individuals or in any municipality that lean a certain way and are publicly either ran for a party or are publicly acting on behalf of that party, and that party is currently not in power, how are we supposed to affect change? My political viewpoints on the federal level have nothing to do with my political viewpoints on the municipal level. I think they're two separate things. And I've worked very hard to sustain relationships with Colin Carey, Jerry Alette, like all of these people as the Student Association president, just making sure that they knew about the issues that students were facing. And I think that that should be happening with the council members as well.
Perhaps at the municipal level, this is really the truest form of opportunity to have effective in leadership. It is nonpartisan. It should be full of vim and vigor. I will just say this to you right now, regardless of age, older or younger, judge the person, judge what their abilities are, what their capabilities are, and leave the age out of it. Because if they're old but they're effective, they can stay. And if they're young and they're effective, they should stay. Amy, it's been great interviewing you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. All right, thanks for watching the Garth Riley Show. Back with more ResViewMes and personal and professional profiles on another show.